Hi everyone, I'm going to tie a Perdigone for you, kind of the way I tie them. There's a couple of fashions, but I'll show you the basic one. So what I do here is I just add in a tungsten thorax bead from hens, and I'll show you what those look like here in a minute. So we just, it's just a conical shaped bead, and I just mount it up on the hook and I invert it and I fill it with the slot here. You can see this slot. I fill that slot with some UV resin just to kind of hold it in position while I'm tying the pattern. So I'll just dab a little bit of UV resin in here, and I use the Zemperfly No Tack with their light. And just give it a quick little zap. So the reason I use this thorax bead is because it has a lot of additional weight to it as opposed to just a round bead. It's a little longer, a little bit more mass. It makes the pattern just that much more heavier to allow me to get to greater depths in moderate to fast flowing currents, or even into slower currents where I can control the fly. So once I've kind of put that in place, what I'll do now is I'll tie this one with a tag. I kind of like an orange tag or a chartreuse tag on a lot of my Perdigones. You can certainly put a hot spot at the head, but I just run this hen's body quill material about halfway down of the exposed hook shank, and then I'll add in some coq de leon fibers. You don't overdo the tails. You know, three to five is more than enough fibers. We can actually keep them quite sparse. So again, I measure off the tail length, and I'll just add that in place, just making sure that the tails stay on top. And I'll bring this down to where the hook should, the top of the bend should be, and then just return back. Up the hook shank. We'll remove the butts of the coq de leon, and then I'll just finish tying it in whip finish right behind the thorax bead. So in this case, this is tied on a size 10 hens BL 254, which is this hook here. But I do tie them down to a size 16, and I just adjust the thorax bead to the hook shank, to the hook size itself. So once that's completed, then what I like to run is there's a glint nymph tinsel. It's this kind of material here. It comes from Zemperfly. They call it a micro glint as well. I mean, there's all kinds of colors for it. There's a rainbow version, this orange version. There's a bright gold, old gold. There's a brown. There's a rust. There's a claret, black and red. There's 3 different types of olives. So let me show you that. It has. So in combination with that material and the different colors of tags that you can put on, I mean, the fly color selection can be absolutely endless. I found for myself this particular yellow tinsel micro glint with the orange and the rainbow pattern, or color pattern, are 2 of my favorites for my area. The trout react very, very well to them. So now I'm just starting the micro glint behind the thorax bead, and I'll come down so that only 2 or 3 turns of that orange tag is exposed. So that's my first layer of the microglint. Now I'll just do touching turns again, moving back towards the back of the thorax bead. And what it does, so I'll do now touching turns moving forward, but I'll come short. Instead of going all the way to the back, I'll come about 2 or 3 turns short and then progress forward again. So this starts to build just a natural taper into the material every time you sort of come short on there. And then I'll go back again, come forward again. So it's a bit of a systematical system. So I just go up the thorax bead with touching turns. And to make sure that that slot that I've got here, that's all covered, so I just double check that. And I keep advancing that microglint forward until that slot is actually covered. And now I'll do a whip finish. A 3-knot whip finish right here at the front. Oops, don't do that. I'll just have to adjust that. Again, I'll just redo that. That happens. And we'll do a whip finish right here at the very front. Just make that secure, make sure it's secure, double check that. Probably could have come a little further forward, so what I'll do is I'll just throw in another whip finish knot just ahead of the previous one, and this hopefully will cover all that slot area up. Not that it really matters, but just makes for a nicer finish. Again, we'll double check that. Yeah, we're almost covered. We'll do one more. And we'll double check. That's good enough there. We'll just make sure that's tight and secure. And I know a lot of people like to put UV resin on this, or even Zap-A-Gap. That's all good. Whatever you like to do. I still prefer to just run a diluted head cement, because this will penetrate all the way through the material right to the hook shank, and I think that's more important as a coating to go all to have it go all the way to the hook shank. It'll secure it better. It'll secure the thread better around the hook shank, and the fly virtually becomes indestructible. So that's sort of how I do mine. I hope you got something out of that. It's an absolutely great fly pattern. And like I'd mentioned, there's lots of colors that you can run. You just sort of have to figure out for your own home water what works well for you. But this is one of my searching patterns along with this rainbow microglint. So hope you enjoyed that and got something out of it. Thank you for watching.